Hello friends, my name is Shivam from DevOps Schools and I will help you to enable your learning process in various technologies of DevOps, artificial intelligence, machine learning, big data and many more. This is our initiative to help you by sharing multiple tutorials and videos. And if you want any specific tutorials or any particular topic, then please do comment in the below comment section and I will help you with it. Also, please subscribe to our premium services on YouTube, which will give you access to more content and videos to enhance your knowledge about all these topics. Also, if you want me to help you with regards to the online trainings and classroom sessions by our qualified trainers, then please do write me at contact@devopsschool.com. Thank you.
So what I can do, I can modify the code a little bit and do to the node port actually. So let me help you with it. So all this thing is using the dashboard is anyways. So let's do with some modification here. So what I'm going to do is this code I'm going to download it first. Okay. So I am downloading inside this directory only curl this one, and where is that? Okay, sorry, I have to -o recommended.yaml. Okay, so this file I got it. Now in the recommended.yaml I need to go and modify vi and check that. See here, this is the namespace you got created. All this program is, you can just read it. This is service account, just now you learned. This is the service. Okay, this service I want to change it. That's the thing here. So service here is port 443, target port this one, and service is, I want the target, I mean type should be uh, not a clustered IP. I want this node port. Before that, let me complete the script. Uh, this is secret. This is secret. This is a config map. This is a role. This is a cluster role binding. You know that cluster role binding. All this you have learned. Okay. This is the deployment. You know that. Okay. And this is a service. Now this service is of what? Matrix scraper. This is a different service. This is, sorry, this is a matrix scraper. I don't need matrix spec scraper. I'll talk about it. This is a deployment, and so I think I got to know that service. So did you got comfortable with the script? You know that all this part of it now, guys. Guys,
Yes,
hello.
Rajesh.
Are you able to hear me? Yeah. So these are the things which you have. It's a complete application you are deploying. So like that, you have to write a YAML file which include all this stuff. You can create a Helm packages also. So that is also what I'm doing. I'm just changing this service because we are in AWS. We are not running in the VM and something like that. So I have to do the node port. So Kubernetes YAML node port service node port. I need an example because in YAML I can write it, but I'll do the spacing mistake. For that, copy paste is I feel comfortable with. So I need some service with the example of node port. So this is the target port, and this is the service, and this is a service. I'm looking for the node port. Okay, just give me a second. This is the port, target port. This is a clustered IP only. Where is the node port? Let me search it. I got it. So here I needed to change a little bit that YAML because in AWS it's a problem with AWS, not with uh, that YAML file. So here what I'm going to do, spec, I'm going to say selector type node port, and then node port IP address, I'll put it this one. So let's do this 3007. So here, this is a service which I'm going to say. Before that, should I take a backup? No, not needed. So port 1 2, don't use the tab. This is a major mistake, you will do that. So here type is equal to node port. So spec type is equal to node port. Rest of the things I'll let it be. And node port, the port I can mention, but it should take dynamically also, but let me mention. So here target port, IO. Always use spacing, never tab. Okay, done. So I just did 3001. That means this service which is of the dashboard will get exposed to the type node port at this port number. So I can access it. I don't have to proxy it. So that is all. So can we run this qctl and apply -f recommended, and it got created. Can we see that? So qctl get ns. Now where is that? Here it is. Okay, so get qctl get pod -n. All this command you know that now by now, so I don't have to teach you. See here, this is a dashboard and this is a matrix scraper. What is a matrix scraper? I'll talk about little bit. This only get the data for the dashboard. Okay, so it's creating. Now it's running. Now how can I see the service? As we see, sorry, there's a mistake in that. So here I have a SBC which is running on 3000 3 lakh 30,007 port. So can I access now? I think I have IP address in the here. Go and see. The service is what was the port? I forgot. 30,007 here, and says client sent an API HTTP request to HTTP server. Why it's not coming?
Is it HTTPS?
Just it's HTTPS. And now guys, now this is the way to log in. If you can log in through token also or kubeconfig also, whichever way you are comfortable. So sorry, kubeconfig I have to locate. Now where is the kubeconfig? Oh sorry, I have a kubeconfig somewhere else. So can I give the token itself? So every service account has a secret. See here, every service account has a secret with a valid bearer token that can be used to log in a dashboard to find out the more data. So how can you get this token? Used to log in with the kubeconfig, but how to get the token? So you have to get the token. Any idea how to get the token? Service account qctl get, what is that? SA. Now here one thing, I can get the token, but I'm looking for this service account. Okay, let me try some other service account. If it didn't work, then we'll try this. Okay, so typically you can enable the password also, so you can change a little bit more configuration and then get the password, but not to complicate right now. qctl describe SA and so the token is this one. The problem is it should be one line. Correct. Got it. Okay. So now this is the dashboard. Now I think you have to get comfortable with it, out of which you know that namespace, node, persistent volume, storage class. These are the things you know. Cluster role, you know that. All these things you learned. Here you know you know deployments, you know pods, you know replication controller, right? Some of the things like a daemon setter on you. It's a similar thing, but it has a certain advantage. It's called workload. Ingress, I talk about it. Services, I talked about it. Secrets, I talked about it. PVC, I talked about it. So that's all. These are the things. Does that answer your question?
Yes,
It says
yes.
no resources found. Wait a second. It says no. There should be two nodes actually. Three nodes. Why? There's nothing to display. Okay. So the problem here is this user, the one which I'm using right now, is having access forbidden issues. Okay, so why this is having access forbidden? So it's access issues. Actually, you got the things, but this token you don't have access. So let's do one thing. Let's now use that, the one which I was discussing, because typically we use the this one. What do you say? Config file, so that way it's easy. But so kubectl get sa, and now describe. Sorry, not sa. I need kubectl get ns. I need which user got created by this. I forgot. Okay, wait a second. Recommended. The user account is, the name of the user is Kubernetes dashboard, and then namespace is Kubernetes. So kubectl get ns kubectl describe ca sa, and this one -n and Kubernetes dashboard. Now which token is being used? This one. So describe secret, which token? This token. Are you getting my points? Are you getting what I'm trying to do?
Yes.
Yeah. So now I'll give this one, and this probably will have all the access. Yes, should be. What? Again, no. Why this is not having access? Is this an access problem?
But
But I
in the
was
URL
expecting.
showing namespace is default. The URL it's
That's
showing
okay.
namespace is
No,
default.
nodes has no relationship. No nodes is a, it's not a part of the namespace. Okay, I'm just thinking why. There's an access problem here. I can see in the log, but wait a second. Maybe there's some implementation got changed. So let me look at this. So here, deploying, accessing. Country has to support only login with a pair token. To create a token this time, or you can follow this one. I have created already token. Creating a sample user. This is okay. Creating. Okay, so let's do one thing. Let's create a one. Have to do a lot of work actually. So what they are saying, create one role, a service account. Okay, then add that and create one role. Okay, role must be there, I guess. So role is clustered admin. Okay, just a second. kubectl get this. So there's a one cluster rule is already there, which has all the access. This access. So they are saying do one thing, create one user and add that to that access, you'll get access. So that is what they are trying to do. So can I do that? Let's do that. Why to discuss more. So vi sa.yaml. This is a service account. I'm creating a default only. Okay, kubectl apply -f sa. This is a default. Okay, and created. Now I'm going to role binding because the role is already available. So crb you have to do. So vi crb.yaml and after this same thing crb. Done. Now I should get this bearer token for that. So how to get the bearer token? This is a shortcut. Same way, but this is a shortcut. You have to don't have to copy. This is a token. Same thing I did through detailed way. Now can I do this? Log out and token. This token is a part of admin, has a all access. Nodes. What this? I did the same thing.
I think so. We copied the extra space.
Okay, what is that? Okay, okay, there is some error. Namespace is forbidden. User cannot list resources namespace. The cluster is name nodes is forbidden. Just a second. Wait a second.
Maybe anything other than nodes, like can you able to see the pod?
This made complicated actually. This is a recent changes actually. I don't know what was the problem last time. Now it got it. I copied last time the same thing, no? Maybe the space extra.
Yeah, there's a space.
Yeah. So guys, this is you got
The
it.
space is copied extra.
So now you have this access. Yeah, more questions, guys. Okay, so whatever I did, I think it's just not very difficult. You know that rest of the things, but these are the commands I run. You can refer it in the later point of the time in the peaceful time. I am just copying pasting in dashboard. Okay, more questions, guys.
Guys, today is the last date, so do send us the recordings. That will be helpful.
Definitely, that recording is for you guys only. I'll send it to you.
Okay.
I have all of your emails, so no problem. Guys, more questions?
No, you said you'll say something about scraper. One more service got created along with the dashboard.
So what is this? So let me talk about it. Okay, so what is this metric server scraper? See guys, first I'll show you something. See here, kubectl enter. Have you got any questions like auto scaling? Where is that auto scaling? This is auto scaling. Okay, so here when you do auto scale -h, see here, you are doing auto scaling and you are setting this one. Okay, so deployment I needed, and here you're seeing minimum to maximum 10. So what exactly these auto scalings are? So auto scaling basically based on the CPU utilization of this pod average. Okay, it's a average utilization of CPU of the existing pod of the deployment. Minimum it will be 2, but if it is a more than that the threshold, it will go to up to the 10. So here you are setting up the scale. Now scale has to be supported by some rule also. Okay, so some rules, like you see the next command, qctl, see here, maximum 5 if it reaches to CPU threshold 50%, 80%. And here default policy, there is no target CPU. That means utilization specified, so default auto scaling policy will be, so auto scaling policy default will be used. So here you are specifying, but you have to create auto scaling policies also. There's a default, I think it's a 50%, I guess. So here when I run this command, then let me get an error and I'll tell you. So I'm running in the default only because that's easy for me. Deploy. Do we have a deploy? See, I have a one deploy which is called my dep1. So what I will do here, I will run my dep1, which is here, and minimum and maximum too, and auto scaled. Okay, I was expecting some error, but it's not coming actually. So okay, so that error is gone in this service. Okay, so what I was trying to do here is, let me explain it. I was expecting some error, but I think it's fixed. It's a good way, but so what I'm trying to do here is, there's a cluster, multiple pods are running as part of one deployment. Then each pod, you have a some CPU utilization, RAM utilization, and network utilization. Any idea in Docker how you used to do get it, those stuff in Docker? Anyone? CPU utilization of the container, RAM, and network?
Docker stats.
No. Docker stats. Yeah, Docker stats. Correct. It's stats. But in Kubernetes, can you help me? What command will be there? I have to find out.
Top.
You are correct. In Docker stats, top. So can we do
Schedule
anything?
top.
Can we run? Yeah, top. Now what? Node or pod? Node. What node? Name of the node. Okay. So you have to give the name of the node. So that way you can get the things. But you know, when I say node, it should give me the all the node. But I want to read the error. That error is still there with this. Can you read the error? What is this error? Guys, do you know Heapster? So that error is there. So what is happening? I'll tell you the background. Container stats, you will get it from the stats command, but you know which component which is gathering the stats for the container? Cadvisor. It is installed by default in Docker. Okay, Cadvisor. We call it container advisor. Okay, you can install separately different version also. See here, analyze resources uses of the containers, container advisor. Now container advisor collect the metrics of the container, but the question is, who will collect from pod? Because pod may have a consolidated containers, multiple containers. Then for the containers, pod stats collected by Heapster, which is just now I showed you the error. Heapsters. Now the relationship of the Heapster is like this. Just where is that? Heapsters. Heapsters. So see, container stats, pod stats, Heapster. Now guys, the problem here is few months back, Heapster got deprecated and removed. Okay, see here, Heapster and EOL, end of life, you got it. Okay, few months back. So what is happening? Many commands are not working. So what they did, Heapsters were doing 3 work. 1 work, 2 work, 3 work. And these Heapsters, which they were doing 3 works, got converted, and CNFCF started supporting different component. That is called metric server. This is a metric server. For what? You read this yourself. It's not very difficult. One for use for this CPU and RAM, HPA and all, use metric server. For general monitoring, use Prometheus operator. For general monitoring, you use Prometheus operator. Okay, Prometheus is a very popular monitoring solution. And for event transfer, okay, QCTL events and all, you have to use this one. So for everything we got the different components. So now you asked me a question, what is a matrix scraper? So guys, matrix scraper is a kind of agent, kind of client which send the data from metric to the metric server, and from the metric server you get all these detailed things here. You scrap all the data. Did you understand this? Now guys, did you understand this? Guys, did you understand this? Hello,
Yeah.
are you there? Hello. Yeah, so metrics server get the data from somewhere, right? That is called scraper, and scraper is running in your cluster and get you the data. Okay guys, more questions. So now, by the way, I covered one more topic, how to monitor the infrastructure, how to run HPA. So you have to install matrix server. Now the question is, how to install matrix server? Damn simple, you know that by now. Just 1 line of code and you install the matrix server, automatically HPA will start working. Okay, which code? This code, this code. That's all. You run it and matrix server will start working. Done. So guys, did you understand that?
So, so once the metric server started now, so where we can see the metrics?
Metric server you'll see, okay, metric server you will see on top. kubectl. See, earlier there was error, but metrics not available. It takes some time, right, to collect the metrics. Scraper will run, then generate a metrics, and then get you. Okay.
Only on the command line you are saying, right?
Yeah, this is the way, but you can get it on the dashboard also. No, here you have no. Here.
Okay, dashboard how we are getting since we installed now, and it is automatically coming in the dashboard. How come? Like,
So
trying to differentiate.
Matrix scraper will have a property to scrap the cAdvisor also. That is the advantage. For HPA, you need a matrix server, but for cAdvisor, which is here, you need only scraper. If you want to store, then you need a server. But anyways, this is dashboard is being stored in a separate database. So scraper got stored, cAdvisor is there. They are getting all this information. Server means it's a storage. Make sense? Yeah, more questions, guys? More questions?
To get our channel membership, click onto the join button, select the 3D99 plan and grow your skills immensely.
Rajesh, Rajesh, we have something for a daemon set, no? Will that is different from this monitoring?
Daemon set, right? So let me explain
Yeah.
it to you. I wanted to figure it out yourself, but I will tell you. DAEMON sets and stateful sets. Let me cover this one also. Now, and deployment. Replication control. Let's see the history. Replication controller, deployment, daemon set, and stateful set. So guys, these two you know that, right? Guys?
Yes, we know.
Yeah. So daemon set, what you do actually, understand that. This also deploy a pod, nothing else. Yes, this deploy a pod, but only one pod per node. Yeah, this like an agent, kind of agent pod. Okay, only one pod per node. Now when and where you can use this one deploy daemon set, you can use when you want to install some sort of log scrappers or some sort of daemon which you want to run it at only one time in a one node and something like that. So daemon set we have such as, can you tell me what is the daemon set which you are running right now in the cluster? Anyone has idea? Guys, which can run in your cluster as a daemon set which is running right now?
Docker?
No. That's not a pod, sir. That's a daemon attached to the node. Sir, you forgot
In the
again that.
master, we install other than like a controller or API server, we install other set of worker. I mean, this nodes, no, this kube proxy and other set.
Kube proxy is running in the each node. No, see here.
Yeah.
How can you forget? Because you spend almost half a day on this. kubectl get pods -- all in namespaces. See here. Oh, so much. Wait a second. Let me grab -o wide grep proxy. What I did. See here. I have a 3-node 3 proxy. This is running as a daemon set. How do I know? kubectl get ds daemon set, but it's not there. Where is that? Any idea? Any idea? Where is that?
See, cube
Guys.
system.
Yeah,
Name
right. Namespace is kube system. This is that's all. It's like a deployment only, but here it will make sure that at least one node should run each. So VivNet is also a DS daemon set. Okay, so did you understand the daemon set now? Can I talk about the stateful set if you understood the daemon set?
Rajesh, like, does it get matrix like anything? Like if we deploy this daemon set?
Matrix like?
I mean, the pod, like pod restarts. I mean, that.
You get it for all this thing. Yeah.
Okay, I mean, do we have to use this metric server something, or like if we use a daemon set, which is like a good one to capture the monitoring things actually?
So daemon set is basically to run one pod each node, to make sure that one pod each node. But metric server and matrix scraper is a way to gather the matrix from the pod and containers. So both are a different activity. Matrix server, when you installed, there is a one pod you get a storage, and remaining pod is a scraper to scrap the different endpoint to get you the details. So that's a different requirement.
Okay.
If you
So
want
you
to
mean to
install,
say this?
if you want to install matrix Prometheus agent as a pod, Prometheus is a monitoring solution which I was talking about here. So if you want to install Prometheus agent exporter as a pod, then you will have to use the daemon set kind is equal to daemon set.
And what about this event transfer?
Event transfer is done by this tool. Events means kubectl event. Remember, Docker events is a event of the Docker D. So same way, kubectl events will be done by that event router.
I mean, like events means like it's a like a change of states of the I mean the container or login
Yeah.
or what kind of that events?
Every object will be processed through some certain event of kubelet. Okay, so if you want to really get it, the events, just describe. Actually, you have seen it but not able to recollect. Describe pod and see here. This is the event. Right now, none. So if you go for any deployment, let's look at this. Get deploy. Let's look at this deploy. Describe deploy. So every object have a event. Okay, so that will be scrapped by, see here, events only one line. So this is scrapped by event this tool.
Okay, so to capture I mean the metrics or the some I mean at the container level, so we have to use this metric server. You mean to say?
Metric server. Yeah, metric server.
Okay.
For HPO also metric server is required.
And okay, so if I capture here and I want to send that metrics to some third-party tool, so how do we like? I mean, we have to go through that.
Yeah, then
metric
you need
server
some
app.
sort of third-party tool. Then again, you have to integrate metric server with something else. You have to, you will get integrator plugins and all. That way, these are applications, so you can export from one place to another place. So you'll get integrator.
Okay.
Like for example, Prometheus operator. Prometheus operator will take all the data from the metric server and display in the dashboard, stored in the Prometheus server, and from there you can query 9200. That's the endpoint of the Prometheus. In fact, metric server must be having some input, client input, from where it can get that, fetch the data, but I'm not sure about it. But Prometheus server, I know that very well.
Okay.
Okay, guys. Now, what is a stateful set? So, stateful set, let's understand this way. First, you see that each pod you see here, each pod, if you see, get pod, kubectl, get pod. See, each pod you see, they attach some random number. See, whatever the name you give to the pod, they attach some random number. Okay, so you don't want this. What you want to create something like a very straightforward, like a pod 1, okay, pod 2, pod 3, this fashion, pod 4, and first you should create first create this, then second create this linear way, don't do parallel, third create this, fourth this. create this. So here you have a 4 pod, a pod 1, a pod 2, pod 3, pod. So you want this one, this naming convention of the pod, and you want in a sequence to be created. Create in a sequence. Create in a sequence. Understand that in a linear way, and delete also in a linear way. In a linear way. That functionality is not available in a deployment. Okay, you see that deployment will create some different number, and though it is part of the same deployment, it will give the some different number, not like 1 2 3 4 like that. And also it will not create in a linear fashion, it will not delete in the linear fashion. And also what is happening, they will not get attached to same PV. Here deployment will not get attached to same PV. If any PV is available, it will go and attach to it. But pod 1 should only get attached to PVC1 all batch. This one should be PVC2. This one should be PVC3. This one should be PVC4. This is a storage. Okay. So this get attached to the volumes always. That means pod wherever it get created always attached to this one. Let's say if you delete this pod, then this will be there, and when you create a next pod 4, it will get attached to the same one and not to someone else. So this is a stateful set. Why we use it? Wherever you have application which has a volumes involved, that means you want the data to be linked to the compute all the time. So this way you can use the stateful set. Okay, did you understand this? This will also deploy a pod, but has some additional properties. Numbering, create in linear sequence, delete in sequence, and pod will get attached to the same PVC all the time. This PVC, if it's allocated to 1, this PVC will not get allocated. PV will not get allocated to any pod ever in future. Number will be matching with the number. So that way it's maintaining the stateful set. Did you understand this? Did you understand this, guys?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. Any other questions you have, guys? Any other question? Okay, so let's go for the networking. Okay, this is little bit of discussion required. Networking is just understanding thing, nothing to do, because there's a YAML file.
Rajesh, sorry to interrupt you. Just wanted to ask whether for this matrix collection, does it have any roles, special permissions required for that?
Yeah, so simple thing, when you YAML this YAML, just a second. Such questions actually it's very easy to do. Just you call this and you can ask this. Okay, so you don't have to do that. They have implemented everything. So curl -o rr.yaml and this one. Now more rr. So now you can ask any questions what they do as part of this setup. What happened? Oh, sorry. Output should be later, I guess. It's not coming. It's redirection. Okay. So redirection. What is how to store it? This. Okay. So here it should be. Do you see YAML? Just a second. GitHub, this one. Component. Metric server. Releases download. Okay, so how to download this file? Should no longer use manifest master data. I should be able to download this. That's it. Curl. Is read. Why is not getting download? Because redirection is happening. That's the problem.
I think you have to use -o wide and the file name
No,
at the end.
no, I used it.
File name, I think you have to give component environment.
No, I did actually.
No,
It's
at the end.
redirection is happening. That's the problem. No, it's not the file. It's redirected. See here, redirected. So I think, okay, so if you just see that somewhere you'll find this file. Let me just get it. So the path of this is, I have to read the path. Metric server releases download and this one. Okay, so releases view all branches. So there is one archive branch, active branch, and after that releases. Where is this download? So, it's here, release and download 0.37. Here it is. This is the one. Okay. Now you can download this one. So whenever the redirect happens, no, the curl will not give you that out. Now you see here they are creating cluster role binding, role binding also, API service also they are creating as a API. This has become an API service. Then it must be having CRD also, and this is a deployment service role binding. So these are the things needed for metric server.
Okay.
Got it?
Yeah.
So that way you can read whenever you have a such question, no, you can open up this YAML file of that particular application. It's very easy to, it's not very difficult actually. Guys, more questions before networking? Any more questions there?
Yeah, Rajesh, I think you can continue.
Okay. Okay, guys. So slides, Paytm, sorry, PPT, and networking. So guys, networking is just like again for this also you'll get one YAML, and but the problem here is you need to decide which networking driver you want to install, like whether you want Calico, Flannel, ViewNet, Contrive, what exactly you want, you have to decide this. So when you decide that this is a matter of one line, you know that you have done it with the ViewNet. Calico also one YAML for that. Okay, so when you decide, then there is no problem. So now before that, we have to understand that which networking you want and why you want. So as part of this, we are going to understand single pod networking, pod to pod networking, service discovery and load balancing. We have already finished this. So let's understand this. There is a one keyword which we use it. There is no such thing as container networking. This was said by Kelsey Hightower. Yes, truly there is no container networking. Conceptually, it is the same thing what we were using with the same networking we are doing with the physical machine, same networking we are using with the virtual machine, same thing we were doing with the containers also, and same thing we are using with the pod. The only change has happened over the period of time is driver. The driver got changed. The rest of the things almost remain same conceptually. So now let's understand. So here there are few requirements which Kubernetes has, and we call it Kubernetes networking requirement. So through this requirement, what we have, and we have already gone through that during the discussion of kubeproxy, and you know that pod on a node can communicate with all pods on all the nodes without a NAT. Agent on the node can communicate with all the pods on that node. Pods in the host network of the node can communicate with all the pods on all the nodes without a NAT. So these are the three requirements which we know that very well. So how to implement Kubernetes networking model? So guys, these are the models which you want to select: ACI, Calico, we call it model or policy, whatever you want to call it. So ACI, Calico, Canal, Cilium, CNI Gini, Contif, Contrail, Flannel, Knitter, Multus, NXT, Muse, Romana, ViewNet. One of these you installed it and used it throughout this training. And we use ViewNet. Why ViewNet? Because it's an overlay. It works very well in the cloud. Very well in the cloud. Though you can use the Calico also, just YAML is a matter of YAML. So how this Kubernetes understand the networking, that is important. How these models is understood by Kubernetes. So you know that Kubernetes has a container network. I mean, each node you have a container network, a container runtime, and container runtime has a container network interface also. Now this interface is, if you remember, is a kubeproxy. Okay, and that these container network interface connect these models like a Calico, Weeb, or whatever it is, and assign the IP address to the pod. So we need to understand a little bit in detail. Pod, you know that very well, but the question is, how come each pod get a unique IP address? That is the question. How come every pod has a unique IP address? This we need to understand very well. Okay, So let's understand this. This pod IP address, the pod which each pod it's get it, that IP address of pod is shared by all containers in this pod. You know that. The IP, pod IP is shared by all the containers in the pod. And it is routable from all other pods also. That means if you want to route, if you want to access from the other pods, it's routable. That means pod is routable, pod IP address is routable, same time it is accessible from all the containers in the pod. So how this is happening, how this pod is shared, all the containers of the pod share the same IP address, how this is being routable, both questions we need to understand. And to understand this one, we have to go inside a pod architecture. So have you seen there is a container which is called POJ container? Anyone have noticed that there is one container which is running with the POJ container? Have you seen this? Have you seen this container?
No.
Let me show you. So this is my master Docker PS, you know very well. So many containers are there, but I want to know some of the container which is POJ container with some POJ title. So do one thing, PS label with the POJ grep. See, look at this. This is the POJ container running in the each worker. Now how come you get this container? Because you never created this container. So how come you get this container? Let me tell you here, hard code this statement. Every pod you create, again I repeat, every pod you create, each pod you get one POJ container. Yes, each pod you get one POJ container. No matter the pod is for the any namespace, no matter if the pod you create or someone else create by that some default setup, every pod you have POJ container. Then you will be asking why I was not able to see that when I describe the pod. Yes, you will not be able to see that because that's the abstraction. Kubernetes Sage, I will show you only the things which you need to know. How it works, I'm not going to tell you, but you can deep dive into this and you can find out. So guys, what is the secret behind the POJ containers? Now you know the POJ containers which is running this image. Now you know that.
Yes.
Now the question is, what is the job of the POJ container? That's the most important question. So guys, you know one thing, this is called sandbox container, and the job of this container only is to reserve and hold network namespace, in short network. So I've been teaching you pod get a network, pod get a network, pod get a network. Actually no, pod get a network namespaces but hold by container, because without a container pod cannot hold that network namespaces. So here this sandbox container, the POJ containers, whose only job is to reserve and hold a network namespaces which is shared by all the containers in a pod. So each namespaces you get a one network, and because of that, that IP address is routable through the all the containers in a pod. That is the POJ containers. Okay, so this way what happens, a pod IP does not change. Think about it, because pods do not get IP address, POJ containers do get the IP address. So this way, even though the container which you are running inside a pod get restarted, but pod never get different IP address. Container dies, get created new one,
To get our channel membership, click onto the join button, select the 3D99 plan and grow your skills immensely.
But pod still has the same IP address because of that reason. Because that network namespace was held by the pod containers, and which is you cannot destruct. This is managed by kubectl Kubernetes. So did you understand that now? How this IP address never change, even the container dies with the of the pod, and how this every pod has a unique IP address.
Yes.
So what is a huge benefit of this IP per pod model is there is no IP or port collision with the underlying host. That means because of this reason, when the pods hold that container's IP address, or pod containers hold the IP address, that way each pod get a single IP address in spite of whatever the containers you are running inside the pod. So that way the uniqueness of the IP address has been maintained. Okay, so that is the reason every pod has a unique IP address because of pod container. So now next question is, okay, with this in place, the only requirement Kubernetes has is that these pods IP are routable, accessible through the all other pods also. So yes, how the pod get IP address now, you know that. But how come this pod IP address is routable and accessible through other pod of the network, maybe within and outside? How? That's the question we have to answer, and that answer you will find in the intra node communication. That means how other pod, whatever the IP address you get it, other pod can be routable with. So you need to understand the intra node communications. Okay, what is this? Look at this. This is architecture of the networking. If you have some doubts in the Docker networking, because I think if you understand the Docker networking well, then you can understand the Kubernetes networking also well. So I have a videos on the YouTube. Check it out, DevOps School channel. So probably that will help you. Okay. So now here what you have is, this is the one node. Each node you have a ETH0, CBR0. What is that? That's a kube proxy. And you see there's a one pod container. Pod container attached with a network namespace, which is shared by other containers also. Container 1, container 2. So in this pod, you have two containers. Pod is hidden. So this is architecture. So let's understand the intra-node communication. So see that. Start from the scratch. This is the one node. Node get a root net namespaces. Each node you get a one network. Okay, you know that. That's from the namespace. Now after that, see that here what happens. Rather than talking, let me show you the one image. See that. What happens? The question was how this pod, one pod is routable by another pod. So what is happening here? Here pod get one network namespace, node get a one network namespace. Because of that, pod you have in ETH0, containers also have ETH0, pod you have a ETH0, and host also have ETH0. CBR0 is a bridge kube proxy, which is powered by different models. One of the models which you use, kube proxy. Now what happens when you try to connect from the pod 1 to pod 2? What happens? First, that packet will be transferred with the command whatever you are trying to run packet, and then some information will be there like a destination. So that destination will be sent with the packet information to VethXXX. Now VethXXX is basically a network interface, virtual Ethernet, which connect the pod and bridge CBR0. So you want to see the bridge in the host machine? Look at this. If config, see here, whatever you see, Veth, these all are same. See here, Veth, one Veth, two Veth, three Veth, four Veth, five Veth, all this, whatever you see, Veth. Okay. So Why we have 4 vth? If config grep, see this many vth, out of which, see here, 1, 2, 3, 4. Why this we have? Any idea, guys? Only 4 in this machine. Any idea? Guys, I'm in the master. Do you remember? In the master, how many containers are running? How many pods are running? Hello? Are you there?
Yes.
How many master? How many pods are running?
4 components.
4. So how many 4? We have BF4. This is the Q proxy. This is the this one. What is it? ViVNet. Okay. So this is what I'm talking about. So what happens? So when you connect from the pod 1 to pod 2, that packet is been sent from the ETH0 to VF. ARP always travel outside of the network. Okay, that's the nature of the ARP packets. Now from the VF it go to the bridge. Bridge says, I know that IP address which you are trying to, because bridge only assign the IP address to pod 1 and pod 2. So CBR say, I know that. Why to go out of this? Don't travel outside. I know that. Let me route it. So CBR route it because of knowing that IP address, because CBR0 also manages your route tables. Okay, all the IP tables and route tables. So because of that reason, they deliver the package to VF, which is consisting of the pod 2 and pod 2 ETH0. They received it and done. Work is done. So this is a way intra-node intra-pod communication happens. Did you understand that intra-pod communication happens because of Q proxy only? They do not travel to ARPs outside of the network. Did you understand this image?
Yeah.
Now, guys, what about the internode communication? Intra-node communication is okay, but what about the internode? So I'll ask you to only hit this image. Okay, look at this. What happens? First, pod 1 trying to access the pod 4, and for that what happens? ETH0 send the packet to the VETH0. VETH0 send the packet to the bridge CBR0 Q proxy. Q proxy say, I don't know that IP address. So this will send that ETH0, which is the network host network. Host network send to the route table of the host network. Route table will tell, okay, I know that this IP address is CID range given to this node. So they'll send to that particular node. From that node will send, I don't know. I'll send it to the bridge. Bridge, he'll send it, and bridge say, I know this IP address. And from there, it will redirect to that IP address. So this is how. By the way, there's so many models. This is one of the basic L2 models actually. So just to make you comfortable with it. So now, lots of reading you have to do, little bit of commands also. So now we need to know OSI model also. So you know that in OSI model, we have 7 layers, which you call it abstract net DP, application, presentation, session, transport, network, data link, and physical. Whereas the physical, from the bottom to top, you receive the data. From the top to bottom, you send the data. It means application send the data to the physical layer, and from the physical layer, you see the data to the application. That is how it is. Now these are the layers. We call it soft layer, hard layers, and middle heart of the OSI, which is called transport layer, sender receiver. Now these are the layers and these are the protocols. These are the responsibilities. We do that. L1, L2, L3, L2, L4, L5, L6. So I'm not covering in detail because I'm not teaching you that networking concept, but just getting more comfortable with the L1 concept, L2 concept. So each layer has a certain distinct functionality. Now these are the protocols which works on these layers. Look at the only L2 and L3, which is like a data link layer and network layer. That's all we needed for today's session. So data link L2 and L3. So L2 works with the Ethernet slips, FPPV, FDDI. L3 works with IP, IP6, ICMP, and IGMP. Now, after this, important things again, L2 and L3, don't focus anything else but L2 and L3. Okay, look at this here. L2, read the MAC address from the data packets. L3, read the IP address from the packet which is sent by L2. Okay, so L3 works with the switches devices. L3 works with routers, layer 3 switches and stuff like that. Okay, so L2 networking, what they do, L3 networking, which is important. You need to understand a little bit of reading. You have to do with the VXLAN concept also. Overlay network concept also you have to do reading. Encapsulation reading you have to do. Mesh networking reading. BGP protocol you have to read more about it. It's very important for L2, L3. And VXLAN concept you have to do. You have to learn routing tables, kernel route tables, and these are the kernel route tables. IP tables, you need to know what is IP tables and how it works. And this is the one of the good presentation of the IP tables. And finally, you have to go into this. After understanding all the terminology, then you'll understand this table. So this table which talk about what are the networking options which you have for the Kubernetes. So if you look at this here, L2, you have a pod communication using L2 data link layer, L2 IRP broadcast, no double encapsulation. So this is on the network. L3, which is done by BGP protocol. Okay, BGP protocol, no double encapsulation, and here you have a Calico. And overlay, which is done on the VXLAN protocol technology, double encapsulation is there, and here we have Flannel and VNet. So now whether you want the L3 with the BGP, L2 with the L2 ARP or broadcast, or L3 with a VXLAN technology, you have to decide. You have to decide whether you want a no double encapsulation or you want a double encapsulation. You have to decide. So I used Weave. You are going to use Calico, Weave, Flannel, anything. You have to decide. And based on that, you just get a one YAML file, Calico YAML file. Remove the Weave, install the Calico, and before that you have to clean up all the pod, all the deployment, everything, whatever, route table, IP table, and all stuff like that, and then do the things. Okay, cloud, they have their own implementation also, so that is not discussed here because they have their own implementation like AWS and all. So did you understand that what is the difference between VNet and Calico? Look at the L3 and overlay, guys. Did you understand this? Hello? Hello?
Yeah, Rajesh.
Yeah. So now the question is, you have to, Calico is a different product. Again, it's a very sophisticated product. If you really want to know Calico, there's a Calico website. You can go through that. You can learn more about it. I have some documentation also in the same slides, but I think I will not cover because it's too much of discussion and you hardly use it. Now the question is the only thing, how can I install Calico? I don't want VNet, I want Flannel or Calico or something else. So this is one product which you can go through the documentations and all. Calico, no, this is the wrong one. This is a commercial website. Commercial means same company, but this is the one I'm talking about. Projectcalico.org. So the question is, how do we install Calico? That's a major question. How do we install Calico? So simple. There's one YAML file which will do that, just like a VNet. You have a YAML file and you install it. So remove that Calico, Weave, and you will do that. So where is that? I have to keep changing the documents. That's the problem. This again changed installation. So docs. So you need to know the IP address of this. Sorry, IP address means location. So here it is, Kubernetes. And guys, self-managed on-premises, self-managed public cloud. Self-managed on-premises. Here it is. So you just apply this YAML file. Here it is, and get this work done. If you want to manage the CIDR range and all, you can modify in this YAML file. Though default also you work. Did you understand this? So what you get here: policy Calico, IPAM Calico, CNI Calico overlay, IPIP, routing BGP, data store Kubernetes. You can do more reading and know more about this. Got it, guys?
Suppose if I need like network segregation across like two tenants are deploying two different apps and I don't want them to communicate with each other, so those things also can be configured here, because you said
No,
part-to-part communication.
that's against the network cluster. That's against the cluster rule. No, Kubernetes consider all the nodes as part of the cluster. For that, you cannot have a different network. Two different network in one cluster, you cannot have it.
Okay, so basically multi-tenancy is not encouraged in Kubernetes cluster.
There must be some way, but to be honest, I don't have a direct answer. So if I tell you something, that means I'm just giving the statement without knowing the things. So must be some way, but one thing for sure, one cluster, two networking, I have not seen from last 5 years, but maybe there must be some proxy or some bridges concept, some different product. It's not in Kubernetes, but something, some workaround, something like that. Like attaching two data centers together. Let's say there's one Kubernetes cluster here and there's another Kubernetes cluster in the USA. You can attach these two Kubernetes, those sort of things. So again, at the architecture level, but Kubernetes level, there's nothing as such.
Okay.
Okay, guys. Any other questions?
Please enroll our general membership for $399 plan to get access of all the parts.
Along with that, you can access our other tutorials such as Docker, Ansible, Jenkins, Terraform, Splunk, AWS, Azure, and various other DevOps related premium tutorials with our channel membership. If you would have any issues with our channel membership, you can drop an email to us at contact@devopsschool.com, or you can also unsubscribe from channel membership anytime if you don't want to continue or did not like the video. To get our channel membership, click onto the join button, select the $399 plan and grow your skills immensely. Please be kind enough to like it, and you can comment any of your doubts and queries. We will reply to them at the earliest. Thanks for watching.